All right, starting in a minute or so. Welcome everyone already. We'll just wait that people get online. All right, let's get going. So welcome to this KUVATA webinar. KUVATA is a joint project between the Tampere University of Applied Sciences and the University of Lapland, and it's funded by the European Union from the ESR Plus program. And this project has its roots in the situation of the visual artists, that we want to offer more opportunities and information on different ways of earning the living in this visual artist work field. So the title is Visual Artists Expanded Work Fields. And there have been webinars already, a series during the fall. And the topics have dealt with entrepreneurship strategies, networking, new spaces in the visual arts, social media, and now we're approaching the sustainability issues. We have also discussed in the last webinar that was hosted by Globe Art Point equality issues in art, and then there's also been the opening webinar on AI, some other webinars on how to apply AI to the visual arts also. So there are 3 partners. I'll just scroll directly to the English slides that we have here. And we all produce different work packages to this project. There are also articles. Some have already been published. All the webinars will be recorded and edited as videos with transcriptions. The Finnish ones will have eventually the English subtitles in them, and others will be transcribed in Finnish. And we have guest speakers in all these webinars that are experts in their fields. There is a KUVATA website that you can find here at the Tampere University of Applied Sciences website. You can also follow us both on LinkedIn and on the website. On Instagram, Lapland University has their own Instagram, and we at Global Point have our own Instagram. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Sarri Vuorisalo-Tiitinen, the Managing Director of Globe Art Point. Globe Art Point is the association that advocates the international artists living in Finland, professional artists and cultural workers in Finland. But to stick to the schedule for today, we will be going to the presentations. We have 2 speakers. We have Veronika speaking about art as a leverage for sustainability. And we have a short Q&A after the presentation that will last approximately 20 minutes. So please be free and feel free to submit questions either to the chat or by raising your hand. And there we have our project manager, Alex Kolerova, monitoring the chat and the questions. So if I don't see your raised hand, there will be some backup for that. And after that, we have Saskia Signori talking about the COIN project, a library of sustainable materials, circular economy, and the research of local waste, how it can be used in creative practices. And the same thing, we have a 20-minute presentation and 5 minutes for a Q&A. And after that, at 1 p.m., we will be starting a group exercise, and you will get more instructions as regards the exercise at that time. But let's get going. So I'll stop sharing my slides and I'll give the word to Veronika. So please, just a second. Here we go. The space is yours, please. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay, now it's working. So thank you very much for joining today. My name is Veronika Kvitko, and today we're going to explore the role of not only your art, but also your role as an individual artist in inspiring action and social change related to cause of sustainability. And I'm going to share my slides now. Okay. I hope everybody sees them. So this workshop will show you how your voice can become a megaphone for environmental and social activism. And it's going to be packed with information you might find useful. We have a pretty limited amount of time, so make sure you have a pen and paper to maybe take a few notes, because we are going to need them when we will talk about examples of other artists who influence culture to be more sustainability orientated. A little bit about my background. I'm a multidisciplinary artist myself with 17 years of professional experience. I was involved in the cultural scene in many different roles, and these experiences gave me a clear understanding of underlying issues within the industry. In 2023, I published a digital book, Notes on Art and Sustainability, for creative professionals. And as a current board member of Helsinki International Artists Association, I'm currently developing an open source library of practical advice and articles on creating environmentally sustainable art. This is a resource for artists who want to be more eco-friendly, more sustainable in that sense, but they find this topic too complex, too overwhelming. So I would like to ask Alex to put the link in the chat, because I think if you're here, high chance you would benefit from reading these articles. They're also a platform for highlighting sustainability related artworks and projects. So if you have any, please contact me directly. You will find a link in the articles, or my email address also will be shared on the last slide of this presentation. So, what is a sustainable art? Basically said, sustainable art strives to minimize harm and maximize positive change. When people talk about sustainability for memorizing things easier, they often call it as a triple bottom line. That's people, profit, and planet. When we refer to planet, we say it's related to conserving resources, to prioritizing animal welfare, to minimizing pollution. When we talk about people, we say it's related to upholding human rights, to promoting equality, to prioritizing health of people. And profit is a term that's related to the economy. This means supporting an environmentally friendly economy and directing financial resources towards sustainable businesses and industries who contribute to this positive change. But today we're going to explore something new. We're going to explore a unique and profound area of impact available to us as culture workers, as artists. I like to think of it as a fourth P, that is paradigm. A paradigm represents how society perceives, understands, and interacts with the world. And as creatives, we have a really extraordinary opportunity to influence and reshape those interactions. This paradigm shift isn't just about our own individual actions, but it's more about global influence, about altering the collective mindset to foster a meaningful change and a larger cultural shift. So why should we specifically laser focus on creating this paradigm? Many perceive sustainability as complex and impractical. I contact many artists in order to create this library I talked about, and one of the most common concerns that I hear is that sustainability is too complex. And people are hesitant to approach it, to learn about it, because it is perceived as too difficult of a topic. And really it is. I'm not saying otherwise. Like, the world is big, how can we influence it as individuals? So if we want to change the world, we need to contribute to the change as team players. Like scientists, they make discoveries, businesses and governments, they address economic sustainability, and cultural industry, like media, museums, artists, we shape cultural perceptions and social support. So on the right side of your screen, you see something that popped in my Instagram feed some time ago when I was working on this presentation, and I really feel that it describes exactly what I want to tell you. Gus, as a scientist, he says, I used to think that top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address those problems, but I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. But luckily we know, the culture workers. So what does it mean? Human behavior drives every challenge we face in the world today. Behavior begins with a thought shaped by the values that we hold, the knowledge that we possess, and attention and effort we're willing to invest in it. And to create a meaningful change, we must shift the cultural virtues that underpin our society. Like, it always amuses me, but really, what kind of virtues do we have nowadays? It's aggressiveness, it's greed, how much money do we have? How much things do we possess? And we need to move those toward integrity, toward responsibility, toward curiosity about the world. And my favorite is kind heart. This is what I always tell my children. You have to be kind, right? So this is not a small task, but it is a vital one. And if we concentrate our efforts on this, we can achieve truly powerful results. As artists, we have this power, we have this unique power to influence hearts and minds. And our art can bypass all those psychological, logical defenses that people tend to build up inside and speak directly to emotions. And when it comes to important issues like sustainability, this makes us not just creators, but potential change makers. And understanding how to harness this power responsibly and effectively is, I believe, the most important skills in developing today's world. So practically, what I'm talking about. Here is how we can actively promote sustainability through our creativity and our voices. That is medium, that is theme, description, and education. Medium, theme, and description, something related to a specific project, to artworks, and education is something that we can approach as individual creators, as people, not necessarily maybe as artists, but we can use it everywhere in our daily activities. So first, let's talk about medium. That is basically what we use when we create an artwork. When we were guided to choose our materials by values related to the cause, I encourage you also to publicly disclose these eco-friendly materials. This can be, for example, biodegradable materials, which decompose in natural environments, or repurposed, upcycled materials, or even something that you bought from the store, but you carefully considered sustainability aspect. This isn't just about reducing your own environmental impact, but it's about normalizing the use of sustainable materials in the art world. When you use these eco-friendly materials, make it a part of your artist statement or the description of your artwork. You're not just creating art, you're setting an example. And many artists would love to use sustainable alternatives for usual materials, but they don't take that leap because it's hard to find the information about these new materials, and it all needs testing, experimentation. So artists just don't do that. So your example, if you did that, this could be a life-changing for them. This could change their creative process forever. And if you don't know what material can be called sustainable, I believe Saskia will tell you more about it. But also you can always visit the library of articles I talked about earlier. And you can download the list of 48 eco-friendly materials there. And the link to the library should be now in the chat. The next one is a theme. A theme is a bit broader term. It's a bit more complex than medium. Theme is something that viewers look at or interact in other ways when they first experience your artwork. So let your art to become a conversation starter from the moment people experience it. Like, imagine people don't know, they don't read description, they don't know what kind of materials you used, but when they see your artwork or they interact with your artwork first time, they want to discuss it, from their point of view, and this is what the theme is. I like this quote. Sir Ernest Combridge said in their book, The History of Art, "Art is the light that enables us to realize the truth." And this is a unique power that art holds in a moment when the viewers experience the artwork. By reinterpreting reality in unexpected ways, we capture imaginations, and this is what we opt for. This approach allows us to question philosophical concepts, challenge social norms, and inspire people to think differently about the world. Okay, for example, we could incorporate themes of nature, conservation, or sustainable living to spark thought and discussion. We can highlight hidden realities of living and working conditions of marginalized communities. And at the same time, we highlight profound rights and wrongs. And we need to be mindful what we express and what is involved along the way. Like old masters, for example, they were highlighting the beauty of nature. And they painted beautiful paintings, but the theme was hunting or like fishing or food made of animals. And related to animal welfare, this is a big issue in the world right now, questioning how we treat animals. So we need to be mindful about that, for example. And same with other social issues, equality, child labor, and so on, so on. And you might feel that addressing this topic could be very limiting for your creativity. But remember that your art doesn't have to be explicitly about issues straightforward, in a straightforward manner in order to promote sustainability. Sometimes the most powerful statements are subtle, leaving room for viewers' imagination to engage with the concept. So remember that our goal is to capture imaginations. The next one is description. How can we use description in order to influence cultural change? Tell story behind your art and highlight any sustainability aspects of your process or concept. Description represents the voice of an artist when they're not there. And it's handy when you represent your works to the public on site where you're not present, or on the internet, or when you apply to open calls and reach out to collectors, to curators, to gallery owners. Having description is very important. And I've seen an issue that many artists have troubles in expressing their work in form of words, in form of text. If you're not used to writing a description of your visual artworks, performances, or any other type of art, you can follow this simple structure of 3 small paragraphs. Your medium, your process, and 3rd paragraph is meaning and significance. Better to make it short because people don't like to read long texts in general. And I personally try to stay within 200 words. The beginning should be strong, capturing attention. Like many people just don't go beyond the first sentence. And having that in mind, you actually can have description, just 1 sentence. This 1 sentence called a style of field notes. This 1 sentence gives a direction to the mind of the viewer. It might be a description of what is the theme of your artwork. It might be a staggering fact or realization, for example. Just to have you an example, if we have a cracked vase with flowers, right? A bouquet in this mass-produced vase, let's say, and this is a conceptual art, right? This is something that's not like surface-based. It's not based on visual representation. If this is so, then there is a millions of ways to interpret this as art object. So if we give a 1-line art description, it can really affect how viewers connect with this object. So if you listen to it, like first example, this is a comment on the fragility of our ecosystem in the face of unchecked consumerism. Or the second example, the beauty of minimizing waste through resourceful reuse. You can feel the difference between those two sentences. First description evokes a sense of unease and concern. The viewer is confronted with the idea that our current way of life is not sustainable and that we are in danger of losing the natural world, right? And the second description, it evokes a sense of hope, a sense of optimism. The viewer feels uplifted and inspired by the idea that even in the face of environmental challenges, nature can still thrive.
1 minute, Veronika.
Sure. Okay, education. This is the last point of my presentation. I'm going to be short. The last tool of influence on culture. Education is something related to us as people, as individuals. In this case, we are not just artists, we are sustainability ambassadors. So invest your time in becoming knowledgeable about sustainability issues relevant to your creative vision. This will also affect your career growth positively. If you talk about this topic openly, this also can create a unique aura around you and people will remember you. So share facts, tips, resources related to sustainability publicly, in any publicity, and when you contact galleries and collectors or other cultural workers. Drive awareness around the topics of sustainability, environmental sustainability, social rights issues, animal welfare. One important note that I want to include is that promoting sustainability isn't about preaching. It's about inspiring curiosity and action. We can create narratives that foster empathy for the natural world and order of things. I have a short list that might give you some ideas what to do if you would like to try highlighting the issues of sustainability publicly. That is writing blog posts, that's giving artist talks, that's engaging on social media, collaborating with environmental organizations, and publicity in print, on TV, on podcasts, and so on and so on. And remember that your perspective is unique and valuable, so share it. Thank you very much. This was my message to you today. In less than half an hour, I'll share artists who I know personally and their practices and how they approach their art as activism. So we will have a chance to practice the theory I gave to you, and I hope this will give you some ideas for your own action and vision. That's it.
Thank you so much, Veronika. I propose that we proceed directly without questions between these two presentations, because I'm quite convinced that your and Saskia's presentations will complement each other. So, but what I'm getting from here is the change of paradigm and how we can change things from the negative to the positive through curiosity and education and innovation. But I'll give the space to Saskia directly, and then if there is time after your presentation before the exercise, we can have some questions, and then we'll collect all the questions after the exercise that Veronika is providing us. But please, Saskia, go ahead.
Thank you, Sari. I will share my presentation. Now, can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Good, good. So my name is Saskia Signori, and I would like to thank you, Veronika, for the very interesting presentation and putting very well how sustainability is a complex thing, not an easy one at all. And today I will share with all of you with how our program supports more sustainable practices in art making, with telling a bit about our background and then some case examples of our program's core initiatives and how they will support rethinking the connection between art and the environment. So we have like very concrete actions when it comes to the materials used in art. So change the slide. A bit first about the background. So our association was founded by a team of myself and Renzo Signori. And Renzo is in charge of the creation of the program methodology and curation. And I, myself, with a background in art conservation, I am more in charge of managing the projects. And so the Koine program is an initiative that supports and encourages more sustainable ways of making art. And this we do by providing access to more different materials and techniques, as well as recycled technologies, facilitating artists' residencies and encouraging research into circular economies and waste to resource transformations, all guided by a regenerative approach that contributes positively to the environment. And here about the different lines of work that we do. And in our interaction with the artistic community through the project we have been conducting over the past 2 years, focused on a network of artist residencies for the exchange of materials, techniques, and experiences, we have observed a growing interest from artists in using materials that are both non-toxic and more environmentally responsible. Like Veronika also mentions that there are many artists that would be interested in using more sustainable materials, but it's not something, it's not always something easy to do. Because what we have noticed that the key challenge stopping many artists from using more sustainable materials is their limited availability. And this also followed by the difficulty of cost and time needed to learn how to actually make them. And through initiatives like the Maxres Artist Residency and the exchange circuits and the materials library, Koine program creates a framework where creativity and exploration of more sustainable materials go hand in hand and offer concrete options when it comes to experimenting with different materials. And here, let's go to some of them. But here actually first you can see some of the examples of materials artists have been using when participating in the program. So from cafe and wood waste to mussel shells to lichens and 3D printing with eggshells. And these experiments really exemplify the potential of local and more sustainable resources in artistic practices. And then here a bit more about the idea of the residency. So like I mentioned, this year we have been working on the Maxres Artist Residency and the Collaborative Exchange Circuit project created by the program curator Renzo Signori. In spring 2022, centered on the theme of vibrant matter, the Maxres Residency announced an open call, inviting artists to submit their proposal. And the residency concept provides a space for experimentation through interdisciplinary collaborations and workshops in our Helsinki studio that we share with the Karakara Collective. And it aims to make bio-based and recycled materials more accessible to artists and creative professionals, while also helping them understand the material's properties and applications. And with the residency, we provide the participating artists access to guides on the production and application of bio-based materials, and recycled technologies with workshops and personal tutoring, as well as curatorial support. And a key principle of the 2024 Maxres residency was the idea of circular economy and waste as a resource. By repurposing wastes, artists not only reduce environmental impact, but when getting very close to the materials, they can also find new narratives to their own artistic practices. So when you're in touch with the material from the really beginning of creating one, you really develop a certain kind of connection with the material. And here, let's go to the first resident artist that we've had. And for the residency, artist Stefan Meyer proposed the project of Echoes of the Shore, and a project exploring sound materiality and the environment, which was in the framework of the program's focus on circular economy. And Stefan was interested in using seashells in his project, and how is the connection with sound. And Stefan's interest in using seashells as a material for his works highlights the program's commitment to fostering more sustainable artistic practices. So Stefan was interested in using the seashells, but he had no prior experience in using them. And after after examining the local context, we identified an opportunity to repurpose discarded mussel shells from Helsinki city restaurants. So mussel shells that would otherwise is waste for the restaurants. We organized collaborating with the restaurants, that Stefan could go and collect these mussel shells that are served in the restaurants. And to deepen his understanding with the material, we organized a workshop on natural binders, allowing him to experiment and expand his creative process. Like here in the next photo, we can see some samples of the material. And by combining the mussel shells with seaweed-based binders, Stefan developed a clay-like material demonstrating the potential of repurposed waste as a medium for artistic expression. And to mention also about the workshop, that it was open for public, so all the persons that were interested in natural binders could come and also learn about them. And this process, supported by close collaboration with the curator, exemplifies the program's role in connecting artists with the more sustainable materials and guiding them in reimagining waste as a resource for creative practices. So the residency time, Stefan was investigating this material, which turned out very, very beautiful. On the right side in the photo, you can see some examples of the material, and you can see two different colors, and the two different colors are due to that when you burn the mussel shells in the oven, they create this kind of other color. So those were the samples. And then the material was then transformed into sculptural sound devices known as listening apparati, designed to interact with and reshape both urban and rural landscapes in Helsinki. So here in the photos, you can see the listening apparatus made with the material of the mussel shells from the Helsinki city restaurants. And this project showcased the potential of more sustainable materials, while also inspiring a deeper appreciation for acoustic properties in natural and urban environments. And here in this photo, you can see Stefan doing the recordings actually in suomenlinna with the listening apparatus, and Stefan is actually continuing the research with the material this year. And then for also during the residency, Stefan contributed to a project led by Renzo, the program curator, co-designing this VR headset support for the Helsinki Excel Center that are now on display in Arabia. So there you could also study how this opportunity led by Renzo to create this headset support for the classes. That turned out also very nice. And a bit more about exploring local waste, and like seen in this case, Koine is committed to researching and utilizing local waste materials for artistic purposes. And artists working in the program are invited to engage with the immediate environment, reimagining discarded materials such as mussel shells and food waste into creative expressions. And this approach not only reduces environmental impact, but also cultivates a sense of place and community by reflecting the unique characteristics of the local landscape. And here you can see our next case study. For the exchange circuit organized in collaboration with Öres residency in the Finnish archipelago, we selected artist and biotech designer Betiana Pavon. The artist was selected for her vast experience in fieldwork and production of various materials. And during his residency, she worked on this installation called Compostable Altar and Offering to the Earth that we can see in the photos. The materials used in the installation is waste generated by the restaurant in the island and the island's woodworking workshop. So with the program, we organized that Betiana could go to the restaurant and collect the waste that they generate. That in the restaurant was like in the photo, eggshells and a lot of cafe. We were maybe expecting like fruit peels, but that was very minimum that was generated in the restaurant. And then also Betiana experimented with some pine needles and also seashells found on the island. And Betiana's research also included the investigation of the local soil and how the developed materials could possibly affect the environment. And these waste components were then transformed into biocomposites used to construct we saw the photo of the altar's elements through a manual extrusion technique. And so they gain a new purpose through their integration to the altar. Here you can see some more examples of the materials Betiana made. So in the right side, you can see some samples made with the manual extrusion technique. The brown ones being with the cafe, the white ones with eggshells, the grayish is the mussel shells, and the samples in the middle are made with the pine needles. So there were a lot of different types of samples made with the materials and the waste also generated in the island. And here you can see some more photos of the actual installation that Betiana created. And conceived as an altar, the installation symbolizes a space for introspection, inviting also new resident artists to contribute offerings. This exchange fosters a sense of communion with the environment, creating a place for contemplation without technological mediation, but however produced in collaboration with coordinate curator Renzo. The altar was monitored by a surveillance device and becoming a space of intersection where the freedom of contemplation is intruded upon by technological oversight. And there's actually a video of the artwork during 2 months, how it transformed, that you can see in our web page. Here you can see one of the last photos of the installation. And the installation invited viewers to reflect on the themes of surveillance and control, which profoundly shape contemporary life. Through a networked video device, the altar was monitored in real time, like I mentioned. And the idea was also with the installation to explore the decomposition process of the materials, serving as a study of the transformation over time. And like with this artwork, Betiana's, like with Stefan's work, Betiana's, also the artwork she created exemplifies a shift toward more regenerative practices by repurposing waste into artistic material. And then a bit more about the workshops that we organize. As mentioned earlier, workshops are also part of the coordinate program, offering hands-on experience that explore the possibilities of more sustainable materials and techniques. And here in the photo, you can see Mari Koppanen giving a slow bee workshop at Taide. So we invited Mari to give the workshop because she has a lot of experience when it comes to SCOBY, which is bacterial cellulose. And the workshops are designed with 3 key objectives in mind. That is to promote more sustainable practices. The other one is to encourage experimentation. And the third objective is to foster collaboration. So the workshop really are like a space for testing new ideas and exploring the creative potential of unconventional materials. And the aim is also to build a community of like-minded creatives sharing experiences when it comes to exploring materials and techniques. And here a bit about the materials library that we have. So the materials library is a database that collects the investigating materials by the artists participating in the program, also in collaboration with the artist residencies. In the online library, you can browse through the materials used by the artists, as well as see recipes and guides on how to use them. The idea of the library is to share information and share experiences with the materials. And our future plan is also to have an actual library where interested people can come and visit and see and feel the materials on site. And this initiative alongside the residencies and focus on local resource use forms the foundation of the coordinate program's mission on promoting the use of more sustainable materials and techniques. So here you can see some of the materials that can be found on the materials library. Also, some materials are part of this exchange circuit that we have connecting residencies from Finland and Peru and Greenland. And also the artists that participate in the program, normally they do the study of materials, and then the studies are shared on the web page and then on the library to share experiences and knowledge. So this is next by artist Marie Schoberleitner, and she was interested in investigating, doing a research of all the different seaweeds that are found in the Baltic Sea, and actually got to it. Was also part of the workshop that we organized for Stefan when looking into natural binders, and it's a very nice natural binder also. And then a bit about circular economy in arts. And in circular economy, materials are seen not as disposable, but as resources with ongoing value. And in this photo, you can see a kinetic sculpture installation by artist Jesse Astarlova. She was a Maxwell's resident last year. And in her work, she has used reishi antlers. Those are those kind of feet that were donated by a company making extract from mushroom. So the antlers are really the company's waste, to say. And the black balloon-like moving structure is made out of SCOBY. And we collaborate with a kombucha factory, because when making kombucha, this drink, there's a byproduct of SCOBY that can be used in many things. So we collaborate with the kombucha factory, and they give us their SCOBY that otherwise would be like waste for them. So, and with the program, it finds a new purpose in art. And this is, of course, more sustainable art making. Like there are challenges of that, like Veronika mentions, and transitioning to more sustainable methods requires to learn new skills, experimenting with unfamiliar materials, and often rethinking the entire creative process. And the transition requires adapting, but we think that it also offers transformative creative opportunities. And with this also, more sustainable art making reduces reliance on extracted materials and minimizes waste, while inspiring audiences also to reflect on the environmental crisis that we are living. And with these initiatives, Koine program wants to actively support circular economy by exploring local options, from bio-based materials to recycled and locally sourced waste materials. And through residencies, workshops, and our materials library, we want to equip artists with tools and knowledge to integrate these principles into their work. And here's some more photos of the seaweed work that Marie did. And this is also a photo a few years back ago with residency circuit project we did. And at Koine, we believe that sustainability is a shared effort that requires the change in how we approach also culture. By rethinking old habits and encouraging collaboration among artists, organizations, and researchers, we can move toward more regenerative practices. And about our future plans, they include adding biomaterials and more accessible recycled options to our materials library and making it a concrete one, giving artists a growing array of possibilities to explore. And through partnerships with other organizations and researchers, we strive to push the boundaries with more sustainable art making. And this was the last slide. And for the ending, I would like to also thank all the support that we have received for the project that we have been doing with the program. And here you can also see the webpage and our Instagram. So stay tuned for upcoming residencies and workshops and projects. What we do with the program as we collectively because we want to work collectively to shape a more regenerative and sustainable future in the arts. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Saskia. Your presentation did indeed complement Veronika's presentation, because we got hands-on examples of the ecological materials and everything. There's one question that comes to my mind, but before on the materials and the waste exactly. But we have 5 minutes for questions and inquiries and comments. So if there's anyone here now who wants to ask for either one of the speakers. There is already one question, and it says, is this to Saskia or to Veronika? How do you take into account regulations and guidelines regarding collecting these materials? For example, in Finland, collecting lichen without the landowner's permit isn't allowed, and collecting seashells isn't necessarily very sustainable. It's also illegal in some countries. I guess this was addressed to Saskia as you were talking about these materials.
Yes, yes. Thank you. That is a very good question. And of course, we take that into account. And that was the case in Stefan's, for example, in Stefan's project, that he was interested in using the seashells, but it's not really possible to collect them here in the nature, though. So that is why we organized the collaboration with the restaurants. So we noticed that there is a huge waste generated by the restaurants of the mussel shells. So then we collaborated with the restaurants so that we could use those. And then about the lichens, it was probably the photo that you saw in the beginning. That was a project by Swedish artist that she was in a residency here in called Tuoto, and they have their own residency there in the land. So the artist was there in the residency, and there she collected some of the lichens there in the forest that's part of the land of the residency. But of course, those are very good questions, and you have to take those in mind when it comes to different materials. And of course, in Öres residency, also where we work, it is not allowed to take the materials there. So of course, that is why also we organized that Bettiana could then do a study of the waste generated by the island. Yes, she explored then something also with the pine needles. But those are questions that we also take in mind and serious. I hope this answered the question.
Thank you. Interesting. It also caught my attention that we were talking about organic waste here, but just coming back from Mexico a couple of days ago, there is so much other type of waste in the environment, just by the roadsides and everything. So, but it's too much or too big of a topic. But did you work with other kind of waste than organic? This was a really good explanation, because I wrote down this, that curious that you had the mussel shells from a restaurant and then the eggshells from a restaurant and everything, but that explained it. But as regards other, for example, plastic waste or all other.
With this project, with the artists, they did not explore on using recycled plastic in their work, but of course that is also a future topic. And if an artist is interested in using recycled plastics, we also, with our workshop that we share with Karakara Collective, that is also an option that we can also organize specialists that know about the theme. So the idea of the program is that when an artist has a material or a topic in mind, that they can approach us, and then we can see how that could be organized and what kind of specialist we could invite to give a workshop or teach them more about the material. So no, we have not organized the plastics yet, but it's also a very interesting option, of course.
Yeah, and a never-ending list. Then there's textile industry and everything. But yeah, we all know about it. Any other questions directly to Saskia or Veronika? If not, my last question is about these workshops. That who or what are your target groups for these workshops? Other artists, or are they open for everyone?
They are open for everybody. Of course, they like it with the artists and creative professionals in mind, but everybody who is interested in learning more about new materials. So we had a lot of artists and designers, also teachers that are looking for another for educational purposes. So they are open for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Well, maybe now we get to the thank you again, Saskia, and thank you, Veronika, because you were talking about education in your presentation, and now you have an exercise for us. So would you like to introduce it to us? And we're all very keenly looking forward to that.
Yes, thank you very much, Saskia. Fascinating presentation. I really couldn't watch outside, like somewhere in other direction. It was so interesting and inspiring. So, okay, let's move to the next part. So in this second part of the webinar, I would like to give you some examples of how artists I personally know use their art practice and voices as a leverage for sustainability. I hope their examples will encourage you to try some of the things we talked about earlier in your own artistic practice, and we are going to do it in a form of a little exercise. Artists who I will be talking about are Almudena Romero and John Sullivan. They are two photographers, and I intentionally have chosen artists who work in the same line of art practice, so we could clearly see the difference in the approach, and so we could clarify the theory for the further consideration in our own practice. Alex, could you please put the task in the chat so it would be available to everyone all the time? Your task is to mark names of Almudena Romero and John Sullivan in front of the two best points of influence, which each of them used exceptionally well in order to influence a cultural shift. And I hope we'll have enough time, and I'll give you a minute to complete the task after presenting each photographer. And you're welcome to put your answers in the chat and share your thoughts. I would appreciate that, but of course there is no pressure with that. And I will share my personal thoughts afterwards, and I hope they will help you understand this topic even better. All right, I'm going to share the slides in a minute. Just a moment. Okay. So first, okay, so these are just a reminder, 4 points of influence for you. That's medium, theme, description, and education. And let's start with the first artist, first photographer, Almudena Romero. Almudena Romero with her The Pigment Change project. She is a British and Spanish visual artist based in London. She trained as a 19th century photography expert. Through a specially designed process, she grows watercress under a specific light. And she uses photobleaching and photosynthesis occurring in watercress to achieve a specific colors that recreate photos with the living plants. After a short while, these images decompose in a short cycle. This type of art is primarily meant to be experienced rather than possessed. In this project, the immaterial assets such as collective reflection and shared knowledge are valued over individual gain. And she's written a great description on her website. You can see details of her works and the process. Her description includes photographic experiences that look beyond sustainable resources and practices to explore questions on our relationships to nature and on production of artworks in the context of the ongoing climate crisis. You can see she started with leaves as test project, and she just grew bigger and bigger. So while digital analog photographs are appropriate for commercial purposes, they contribute to a shortening of our existence altogether, as they depend on unsustainable dynamics of extraction. For example, materials for digital captures or analog prints, storage and disposal. I now quote the description of this project from her website. On the other hand, living and disappearing photographs free from toxic chemicals, plastics, minerals, and existing only for a short period involve materials and methods that can be practiced and repracticed over time. This project uses photographic processes occurring in plants such as photobleaching and photosynthesis. It's not printed with chemicals or painted. Instead, plant leaves and watercress seeds are exposed to varying amount of specific light rays to produce art that grows, fossilizes, and disappears in a natural cycle. So this is it. Take a few moments and mark her name in front of the points of influence, which she exceptionally well used in order to influence culture through this project, in your opinion. There is no right and wrong answer, but this is a good exercise. And I'll continue in a minute. Okay, I hope you have put your answers on paper or a phone or somewhere. Now let's take a look at this together. We have a little technical difficulties, so you can see all of my screen. Did anybody put any answers in the chat? No. Okay. It's fine. So my answer is that the main thing she hit the mark with would be the medium, because she invented an innovative process working on natural biodegradable materials, where she uses photobleaching and photosynthesis occurring in watercress. When plants grow, having a specific color because they were exposed to specific light. And I only mentioned it briefly, but her description is also very, very well written. Excuse me. And this gives people who have never met her before, maybe even some random people on the internet, a chance to understand her process and the significance of this project. Regarding the theme, she visually connects humans and nature by transferring portraits on plants. If you think about it, it's pretty straightforward, also great. Well, for me, I think there is a little bit of lack of context, and you actually need a minute to connect the dots, like people and nature and so on. So also, does she use the educational aspect in this project? She does talk about it. She also educates people, and I've seen 2 publications. She highlights the impact of conventional photographs, but I think she really hit the mark, and I would put 10 out of 10 for the material use and description. Like, I never seen this type of technique, so it really impressed me. So materials and description are leading segments of influence in this particular case. Okay, let's continue with the second photographer, Joan Sullivan. She is a Canadian abstract photographer and a writer. She develops fluid-like abstract images to express her eco-anxiety. And in her recent exhibition, Joan opens the question, if I were a tree, what would I feel when the flames arrived? And she confronts the pyroxene. This is a term for the age of extremely big fires. In the gallery, she represents a series of immersive artworks. 15 imaginary trees on fire were printed on silk fabric by sewing the 2 longest sides together. And she transformed these 2-dimensional prints into 3-dimensional sculptures that resembled tree trunks. And these tree trunks formed a hanging forest on fire in the gallery space. She also collaborated with performance artists in order to create experiences for the visitors that resonate at a much deeper level than just a selection of photos. In her website, to the online viewers, the series is presented as a gallery of images without the description. On the other hand, she puts much effort in publicity and doing educational articles. She educates people about the background that inspired the project, which is that 2024 is the first full calendar year to breach the 1.5 Celsius limit above pre-industrial levels established in the COP21 Paris Agreement. And her educational writings are truly great. For example, before I met her personally, I first read about her project in an article she wrote for the Climate Culture Society. So now please take a few moments, again, a minute, and mark her name in front of the points which she exceptionally well used in order to influence the culture, in your opinion. Okay, should we continue? Is there any answers? Yeah. Great, thank you, sorry. Use of wood, the medians to involve more senses. Great, thank you very much, Alex and Sari, for your answers. So let's continue. Okay. First of all, I want to start with something that I'm really impressed. And this is how she used theme, how she created experience for the visitors of the physical space. Do these abstract artworks, abstract photographs translate the idea directly to the viewer when they first see them? From a personal experience, as artists who uses abstract approach to convey the message, I can say that people have a hard time to for understanding abstractionism. You really need to talk to them and give their thought a direction in order for them to understand what you're trying to convey, the message in full. But what she did in the gallery, I think she did great, but by not only presenting abstract photographs, but also nature objects, as you see, like burned branches, and also performance artists who approached this same topic and created the experiences for the viewer, which are much more clear, the deeper experiences. So I would say, I'm really impressed. It's a win. Her message is very well translated through using a theme. Her presentation of the artworks on the internet, I would say it's a different story. Right? It is presented in a form of gallery of abstract images, and it does need a description. Now, if I can here, this is how her project represented on the website. And I feel that this is an amazing project, but sadly, it's just not much for the viewers in the digital space. When we talked about the description, it serves as a voice of an artist in her absence, like in the absence of artists, and a presentation to random people on the internet in her particular case. And without it, her abstract works, I feel they just lose so much sense because they have so much feelings and intentions. And what we see is just a set of blurred photos. Right? I would definitely love to see this project being more opened up to the public on her own website and with use of the art description. On the other hand, as I said, she puts a lot of effort for presenting her project in the form of articles. She publishes stories. She published background of this project, her inspiration and educational information, and she comes very, very strong with that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the medium. Also answers by Alex and they think she used the medium very well. The use of wood and involve more other senses. This all makes sense. I'm not sure that use of that the wood was her medium, but I see it as a complementary objects that give more experiences to the viewers. But if we approach the use of wood as a medium, that this is a really great choice, I agree. And how she transformed two-dimensional prints into three-dimensional sculptures. I also feel this more related to the presentation, so I would refer to it as a theme. I know it's a bit maybe complicated term, the theme, and it's a bit mixed up, so this is the reason why we are practicing now. So yeah, the medium is what the material that she used, and this is what I would like to address right now, the materials that she used for printing her photographs. And she printed her photographs on silk fabric for the exhibition. And sadly said, it's not really, like, I wouldn't call it really sustainable material. And some people call silk environmentally friendly material because it is biodegradable. Like, it is, like, I think in a production, you don't need to use as much chemicals. But in the context of sustainability, it's not really, because the sustainability concept involves many different aspects. And if you're not familiar, silk is the fiber that silkworms weave to make their cocoons, and they are boiled alive inside their cocoons, which causes the cocoons to unravel, and so that workers can obtain the silk threads. And more than 6,000 silkworms are killed to make just 1 kilogram of silk. And if you would ask me, I would answer that they do feel pain. So they are also living, breathing creatures. And in the context of sustainability, animal welfare is as important as environment. One cannot exist without the other. And so this is the case. But does this choice zeros her influence on the culture? And answer is absolutely not. As we know, we can address the culture in different ways. And this is just one side of it. This is why we are practicing to use medium, description, theme, and education. And on this example, I wanted to point out an important thing that I want you to gain after this workshop, which is stressing when we didn't achieve perfection as an earth friends. Like, we might feel that we failed because, you know, we didn't choose the best out of the best in some cases. And I see a lot of feedback from people who are worried about that. So remember that whatever we do, if we make an effort, if we did our current project a little bit better than the previous one, we did great. This is what matters above everything. This is small, consistent steps towards the goal that matters to us. And we do not stop until we reach perfection, but every step matters and every effort is appreciated. And wrapping up, I would put a 10 out of 10 for the theme, for the experiences that she created for the viewers in the physical space, using complementary objects, using other artists' performance art, and also creating these sculptures, not just presenting a selection of photos. And also education, because as I told you earlier, she puts really a lot of effort into it. So now we can clearly see the difference in the approach of two photographers. And both influence culture exceptionally well. They are so talented and so impactful. And I hope you've noted something important for yourself and got your dose of inspiration and maybe even clarified the next step you would like to take towards sustainability perfect artistry in your next project. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to discuss anything else? No? Okay. My last message for you today, I encourage you to set yourself a concrete goal for the next 10 days. Consider it as a final assignment. It doesn't have to be big. Remember that sustainable change is often about small, consistent steps. So choose something actionable and relevant for yourself and make it a reality in the next 10 days. And if you're not sure in which direction to focus your efforts, you will most likely find some ideas in the library of articles, link to which is shared in the chat. And just to throw an idea, maybe you could use eco-friendly materials and address a sustainability theme, or even create a piece that is designed to biodegrade. Or you could tell the world about what you've done already, about your existing artworks relevant to this topic. So you could explore this, or just post what you've done already on your social media platform. And I encourage you to post and share what you're doing at least 5 times, and along with the description that highlights the sustainable aspects of your process or concept. Okay, so thank you. This is it. As you go forward from here, remember you're not just an artist, you're a visionary, a storyteller, an educator, and a change maker. And your art has the power to shape the perceptions, to steer emotions, and to inspire action. So use this power to wisely and courageously. The world really needs your creativity and your passion and your vision more than ever.